Austin! Welcome to Lone Star Politics. I am the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love. I'm highly biased. I'm highly biased towards freedom. I'm highly biased towards liberty. And I'm highly biased towards the Constitution. These are the things that I think should shape policy on every level of government here in the United States. Today we're going to talk about an international issue that is surprisingly not really covered by the mainstream media. It's been going on since 1954, and the mainstream media has pretty much been ignoring it all those years. There's a slight mention of it today, but I want to tell you what's going on in the international world as well, as this really does affect our lives in perhaps ways we don't even understand. There was a lot going on at City Council this past Wednesday. The big hullabaloo was about the racetrack that's being proposed to be put in right here in Austin. It's a Formula One racetrack, and in theory, it could be good. A new business would be moving into town, and this would generate jobs. People would come into Austin, pay for hotel rooms, buy food, visit the bars, generate tax revenue, and be really good for the city. That all sounds well and good. The problem is, Formula One wants a government subsidy. They want a tax incentive. They want the city council to say, hey, Formula One, thanks for coming to Austin. Here, don't pay us taxes. You don't need to do that. Joe, we're going to subsidize you $4 million in taxes every year for the first 5 years. That's right. Formula One wants Austin City Council to give them $4 million a year in tax subsidies for the first 5 years, just for coming here. Why does anyone need an incentive to come to Austin? This is a fantastic place, if not the best place in the country. I just love it here. It is wonderful. We got great live music. There's very interesting people. There's so much to do, lots of nature. If you're going to be a business and move here, we got great schools. It's a wonderful place to raise a family. So why do we need to give them money to come here? And why does Austin City Council want to do it? It's just outrageous. And this at a time when there is an $11 million budget deficit at City Council. We are short $11 million just to keep services where they are. So right now they're talking about cutting services. They're talking about delaying pay raises for the city employees. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but if someone's promised a pay raise and assuming they do a good job and they deserve it, I think they should get it. But I'm also a big fan of government responsibility concerning finance. Government needs to collect the same amount in tax revenue as they're going to spend on services. I don't like the idea of the federal government spending trillions of dollars more every year than they take in taxes. That's just not right. That's making our children pay for our expenditure today. Who out there wants to spend today and then have your children pick up the check 20, 30, 50 years later? We inherently know that isn't right, yet that's what we do at the federal level all the time. But we're not allowed to do that at the state level. There's an amendment in the Constitution that says the state government must have a balanced budget every year, and same thing at the city level. So what are we doing? Well, as I said, we're delaying pay raises for city employees. We're also raising property tax 9%. So we're raising taxes to make up this shortfall. This is because there's been a decrease in sales tax receipts, so the city hasn't been taking as much sales tax as it was projected to or normally would. At the same time, we're talking about giving away $4 million a year to Formula One. How does that make any sense? If a new business is going to come into Austin, this new business better be able to support itself without tax subsidy. And we can just see how silly this idea is of subsidizing a new business, a new development, just by looking 2 years ago. Does anyone out there remember the Domain Mall? It's still there. It's a brand new mall. It's beautiful. You paid for it. There was a huge tax subsidy to developers to build the Domain Mall. Now the Domain said, oh, well, we're gonna open up all these new shops and we're going to have all these sales and generate all this tax revenue, and it's going to be so wonderful, and all this tax revenue is going to pay for your child's education, it's going to pay for the fire department, it'll pay for everything, it'll be wonderful. What happened? Well, we gave them a huge tax subsidy, and they built a taxpayer-sponsored mall. Beautiful mall, but it's paid for by you. And how are the sales doing? The economy collapsed. What happened? Sales receipts went down huge. People didn't go out and buy Gucci purses and brand new Sony cameras all the time. So stores like Gucci and Sony and all these high-end fashion stores, Nordstrom's at the Domain, they didn't generate the sales they anticipated. So they get this wonderful tax break, so we as the citizens lose in that respect, yet at the same time, they're not producing the tax revenue that they estimated. So the citizens of Austin are just the real big loser in their Domain. And it's very difficult to find a council member who supports what we did in tax subsidizing the Domain. Councilmember Spellman was on my show a number of weeks ago, and he said their Domain was a mistake. I absolutely agree. But now we're talking about making that same mistake again, subsidizing Formula One racetrack. And that is just wrong. It is wrong for the government to pick winners and losers. That's not the role of government. The role of government is to protect our rights, not to say which businesses are going to fail and which ones are going to succeed. We can look at the banking collapse of 2008 to see this. The Federal Reserve and the Secretary of Treasury, who formerly worked for Goldman Sachs, he let some banks fail. He saved other ones. So how does that work? Why is government deciding who wins and who loses in a free market? The fact is, it's not a free market when the government intervenes. I don't want a business that can't pay for itself in my city. If you're going to open up a business here, it better be profitable. I don't want a business here that relies on tax subsidy. Just to put this in perspective, do you know what happened to the last Formula One racetrack in Texas? I think it was in Dallas. And do you know how long it was in Dallas? 1 year. There was not enough interest for the Formula One racetrack in Dallas. And Dallas is a much bigger city than Austin. So why are we spending your money to bring this racetrack here? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I asked you just a little bit earlier, who is the Bilderberg Group? Have you heard of them? You should, but they don't want you to. The Bilderberg Group has been around since 1954. They met in the Bilderberg Hotel in Holland. And it's a group of the wealthiest, most powerful leaders in industry and business and politics in the world. This is an international meeting of powerful people that meet behind closed doors to discuss who knows what. It'd be irresponsible of me to say that they are planning the future of the world, or they're planning an economic meltdown, or they're planning this, or they're planning that. I don't know. Nobody knows except those who go, because those who go won't talk about it. Here's a clip from 2005 on CNN talking about the Bilderberg Group.
You may not have heard of it, but some say Bilderberg is secretly trying to take over the world. We're trying to find out why some of the biggest names in business and politics are currently meeting very discreetly in Germany.
Bilderberg is a meeting of powerful centrist industrialists and politicians. They always meet in secret once a year in a five-star hotel with golfing facilities, and they've taken on the image for conspiracy theorists of the fabled shadowy cabal that secretly rules the world.
Are they?
Well, yes and no.
More on the Bilderberg Group when Lone Star Politics returns.